Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the show about monks in the world of Warcraft.
Coming up, we discuss best in slot trinkets in this tier, the item squish, and how to take on iron jugs. This is Monk Meditation, episode 13.
Here's your host, Chai T.
Welcome to 2014. It's starting out on the right foot over here. New job, new workout schedule, working on Garage, and a new show. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Chai T from Airy Peak, US, and let's get right to it. Today, we have an all Convert to Raid crew. Starting off with our healers from Convert to Raid, Nalek, we have Daikatsu.
How's it going, guys?
Doing great over here. It's a wonderful new time. All right, and another healer from Convert to Raid, whichever sub-guild you're in, because we have a lot of them. Now Yuki.
Hi guys, it's great to be back. I'm super stoked to be here today. I don't know what it is, but I guess it's the feeling of the first episode of 2014, so that's always a good start. And can't wait to talk about our raids, because a lot of us got good progression this week.
Yes, we did. Let's talk Air from Convert to Raid something? Mobus. Convert to Raid Mobus. Air, our Windwalker extraordinaire, back from his whirlwind trip across the world. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. It's very good to be back and seeing all you guys. And whirlwind is correct. I was up in the UK for the holidays, and man, Gale Force 11 wins. I learned what Gale Force was. It's like super high level winds. So we don't obviously won't use it in America or anything like that. So heavy winds, good stuff. I'm magically back though.
You had to deal with the Arctic vortex.
No, it was a vortex. It wasn't cold at all. I guess there was flooding. So hopefully, if anyone had flooding in the UK, hopefully they're doing all right. But family back home in the Arctic vortex, and wow, you guys stay warm.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, so just so people know, Gale Force 11 is between 64 and 73 miles per hour. In Florida, we don't even bother not going to work for that. It's like not even a tropical storm.
Yeah.
I went to the beach. It was fun.
Did you go windsurfing? No.
I went wind walking.
There you go. All right.
Nice.
Nicely
nice.
done.
And done.
Yes, and scene. Okay. All right, well, let's talk about our rating progress, because all of us got a lot of it seems like, in the Siege of Orgrimmar in
Storm, Earth,
and fire!
All right, so last Friday was the first day we've had Rolling Thunder all together. The holidays and all that. We had one or two people out each time. We missed Duke for quite a while, but we got everyone together, and it showed. Not only did we two-shot Thok, we downed Siegecrafter in 8 pulls, and then we downed Claxy in 3.
Yep.
All one night.
That's a good night.
Yes, it is.
On to Gary.
It is Gary time this week. So
Not Indiana.
Right.
Hellscream.
Edamame Enterprise. Naoki, how'd that happen?
Very, very good. On Tuesday, we got all the way up to Naz. Wiped on him a bunch of times as usual. So at the end of the night, we were tired. All right, we'll pick it up Thursday. So we call in Thursday, wiped a couple more times. You know what? Let's switch our third healer to DPS, see how we do. So we 2-healed it. We downed him. Good to go. And then we got all the way up to Thok. But it was only one pull because it was the end of the night. So I'm pretty sure we'll get Thok down this week coming up. And then I was excited for having Thok because we caught up to Rolling Thunder. And then I saw on Twitter, Thok down, Claxy down, onto Garage. I'm like, oh. I'm behind again. But I'm very happy for my team. We pushed through all the way to Thok and made me very proud. And still no trinket from Nazgrim. Very upsetting.
Yeah, talking about no trinkets. Jesus.
Well, you may have not caught up to Rolling Thunder, but let's talk about the guy who's leaving us all in the dust.
Air, how's it go?
Iron deficiency. My vacation kind of put the team in a bit of hardship because obviously if you're raiding together, we've been raiding together for a little over 4 months now. Got a really nice close-knit group, which is a lot of fun. So, but they brought in Nate, Retribution Paladin, for the most part, and some other pugs for the holidays. Continued work on heroic spoils and got geared up a lot. Was able to come back. We got a fresh start last week. One night, our first farm night cleared up past Malkarock and worked on spoils, and within the first hour, got down heroic spoils.
Wow, good job.
Congrats.
It was awesome stuff, and now we are working on the beast that is Thok. And heroic Thok, it's hectic, it's a lot of fun, because Yeti.
Oh god, Yeti.
Yeti?
You have, when you open the doors, you get, at the heroic level, you get, the first door you open, you get bats coming down you got to take care of.
Oh, so all those ads that
second
show
door.
up at the beginning in normal.
Yes, and then the
Oh,
Yeti
Jesus.
from the beginning that goes around everywhere is actually jumping around the room same way while you're fighting the boss, and you really can't stop and kill it because that's a big DPS loss. So
Right.
you're having to look out for the Yeti. And first night we were down to about 50%. Last night we have them down to around 20%. So this week, hopefully get a Thok kill and continue on from there. So
I think you should definitely
Iron deficiency rocking out. It's good stuff.
You should definitely unleash the gastropod then in heroic,
Yeah.
just to make it psychotic. I mean, it's not crazy enough as it is.
No, that is such a fun fight. We've learned that I cannot miss or fist weave, so I'm sticking to DPS. I do apologize to my team for that, but we're doing pretty well. So good luck to us.
And in case
So-
people haven't noticed, by the way, I just want to quickly put out there, Captain Crunch is not joining us tonight. He's feeling a little under the weather, so hopefully he'll be back next episode. Go ahead, Naoyuki.
Oh, no, I was going to say, so the Yeti in Siege of Orgrimmar is basically like TOC meets Siege of Orgrimmar. Because remember the Yeti in Trial of the Crusader? Jumping around all over the walls? It's pretty much the same thing where you have to avoid him slamming into you.
See,
That
I'm a
sounds
cat
fun.
baby, so I don't remember that.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Didn't mean to throw you out there.
that was one raid tier I was unsubbed at that time, so I have no clue about
Really?
that one. Yep. I've been off
Only
and on
fight in
since
there where
beta,
I was
rating.
PvP.
since vanilla beta, but it's like that was one of those times where I was off. So, well, I'm sure the dojo gets the reference, so I'll trust you on that one. All right, well, let's get caught up in the crazy whirlwind of WoW news. Yeah, because so much.
Dizzying haze.
This is like Gale Force -3 here.
Right. Yeah, we scraped the internet for anything relevant to monks at all. So let's get the first bit of news. Those of you that are excited to possibly race change your monk and when Warlords happens will be happy to know that the character model preview is expected in about 2 weeks. That was from one of the art designers on Twitter, and we'll link that in the show notes. So I'm keeping Panda because all pandas should be monks and all monks should be pandas, in my opinion. We know this.
Yes. Shouldn't this be next week? Because when they tweeted it, it was last week.
Okay.
So 2 weeks from
I
last
got
week
no-
is next week. I'm not sure.
Anyway,
I think it was last week.
by the next episode, we should have some
Sometime soon.
preview on that. So,
Wonderful.
That'd be nice.
race change? Anybody gonna race change?
Nope.
And I want to race change to a gnome, but my wife won't let me.
I will probably start a gnome monk.
She's like, no, Daikatsu's a panda name. You stick it's like, it's not even a panda name. All the pandas are Chinese names, and I took a Japanese name.
Well, if you do cosplay, you're way too tall.
I don't know. The pandas are like really tall in mists. So
Yeah.
We'll see what the races look like. I'm not married to my panda just yet, because I don't think that's legal in the state of Florida. But we'll see.
yeah, the female gnomes are definitely intriguing. So I think that would be. I might roll one of those for fun. I've already got 3. I might as well go for 4, right?
My
Even though I play
original was a
Alliance.
Draenei.
Yeah, it's
But I've recently gone back to a Fem Panda.
Yes.
Just transmog
The
is
best.
good, but it really, I honestly, for me, it depends on the racials. If the racials are that, because I know they're going to do a lot of balancing with that because of the removal of stats, and they want to
Draenei is going to
keep things a
definitely
little
get
bit more
some new
even.
ones.
It's really hard to give up the double food buff for pandas.
Yes.
And depending on how those stack up against with the new classes, I would have definitely consider, Night Elf. Can we do Night Elf milk? Yeah.
You can do everything
Or,
except for Worgen or Goblin.
Everything
Okay.
but Worgen and Goblin.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely consider race changing, as long as the racials add it up,
Yeah. I mean, that really is the big thing about playing a Panda right now. That double food buff is
It's
enormous
huge.
and easily the best racial in the game right now.
Mm-hmm.
For on-button cooldown, they're talking about nerfing down the Troll and the Orc racials that they have from, like, I think Troll is, what, a 5% buff right now? What Berserking
Something
is?
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like that, and they're
forget.
talking about making it a 1% or something. Like they're going to really balance things down, but it'll be
It's
interesting
hard-
to see what they do with the racials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's from a
Especially with
transmog
Draenei.
point of view. It's hard to beat Draenei shoulders. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
If you like shoulders, you roll a Draenei.
Yeah, especially
Pretty
the
much.
male. The male is just like, hello, shoulders. Orcs used to be in vanilla. Orcs were the shoulders were
Football players.
gigantic for some reason on the orcs. Like they have broad shoulders, but it's like the models were huge. So I remember
Yeah.
the orc hunter was like, because they had those giant slayer that looked like road barriers, and it was like you'd put that on an orc. It was just like you had a field goal ready to go anytime.
Welcome to Monk Fashion Meditation.
Right.
Also, speaking of races, I hear we
here.
might finally get Blood Elf males in the game. Sorry, I love poking the horde.
Yes.
Balin is pointing out that
I
Controls is a 20% haste buff.
Yes, okay.
Mother
yeah,
of
I
God.
know it's.
And
I know it's
he
going to
did
drop.
mention
to
that
like-
in all caps because
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
basically a bloodlust almost.
Exactly, they have a second bloodlust all to themselves. It's crazy.
So, with the character models going to be available for preview soon, I would say, if I were optimistic, that would mean, oh, we're getting much, much closer to a beta. Until we get a lovely tweet that crushed my dreams and hopes and prayers. New PvP season planned.
Season 15 coming
Yes.
soon.
So that puts it roughly in the time frame of the earliest would be about July. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been pretty vocal on my idea that beta is going to start around April.
Yeah.
I honestly think that we have a date now for April of April 3rd, considering that ESO is launching on April 4th.
Right.
Well,
Well,
and Blizzard likes to be,
I still think
Jerks
that
like
beta
that, so-
Put that up.
could come out pretty quick. That they just have a long beta. Because, like,
it could be as short as 4 months.
a short PvP season, because they've kind of varied around. They never had a very set length for the PvP season. Like the one in Dragon Soul was like, or was it Dragon Soul or was it ICC that ended up being like 32 weeks or something ridiculous.
It goes like
I
ICC.
think it was ICC.
I think that was ICC one, but they've had it as short as like in the teens and as long as 32. So, if it was a really short one, we would have it around June or July. And so that would give, if they started it next month, that would still give a 4 to 5 month beta, which would be enough to really sing it. So I still think we could see it before April, but I'm thinking you might be right with April.
What concerns me is the fact that I need 98 more 3v3 wins to get that mount before the end of the season.
Why are you here?
Again, there are PvP. Yeah, your partner on Twitter.
Get cracking.
Your partner on Twitter was asking if I could hop in and help out. We never connected though, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's PvP, it's...
You could hop in, but help out is a different question.
I will tell you, I have been PvPing a lot, leveling up with my Mistweaver, and I am having a ton of fun Mistweaving PvP.
Oh. teach me. 'Cause, man, I get rolled.
Man,
It's like, oh, Mistweaver, 3 people on me. Boom, boom, boom. Oh,
abuse
doesn't work.
your hamster ball.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Tiger's Lust, Ring of Peace, and Nimble Brew. Those, it's like,
Yep.
and do escort. So escort flag. You are like the best escorter as a Mistweaver. Because you can Tiger Lust, you can Ring of Peace on the flag carrier, not on you.
That's right.
And hamster ball and everything. So it's like the person you're protecting won't go down until you get stun locked by a rogue. So
Yeah, I think that it was just bad luck because I was getting owned by a warrior, a lock, and a rogue.
and what's great
I
is
was
you
like,
can
oh.
usually go toe to toe with these with these DPS classes by just getting up and fist weaving in their face, and you're healing yourself and damaging them, and they can't do anything about it. So
Yeah, I didn't fist weave, which was a mistake because I read somewhere where it's a waste to fist weave, and I'm thinking, like, how is that a waste?
right, you're
So I
doing
should try
DPS
that.
and healing at the same time. So yeah, it's
So we're deciding that with the announcement of a new PvP season, we're all going to start PvPing. Is that what I'm hearing?
Duke's like,
I
"Screw
want
that."
to,
I
but
don't care.
me getting pwned all the time and not having somebody to pocket heal is just very
Yeah,
annoying.
My problem with PvP is the same reason why I don't play Call of Duty. I just don't have fun in 30-second intervals between being killed by 12-year-olds.
I
that
pound and call.
That's
of Duty.
another nice thing about doing Mistweaver in PvP is because in PvE you have to care about mana management. In PvP you don't. You just spam the hell out of everything, and it's like you just throw yourself in front of a rogue to get your mana back.
For any listeners, we are looking for a PvP-specific monk to come on the show one of these days.
Yes.
Yes.
We do want to tie PvP.
monks, plural monks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I'm leveling up my Mistweaver with Refer a Friend, so we're going to get up to 90 pretty darn quick. And I think I'm going to turn that into a PvP Mistweaver. So that should be fun.
So speaking of PvP, how about these stats?
Yes. Well, now to keep your spirits up while the world changes around you in...
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
Uplift. Don't worry, I'm sure it happens to other monks too.
All right, a couple tweets went out regarding stats in the Warlords of Draenor. If parry and dodge are going to stop existing as stats, what will happen to items gemmed with those stats? Pretty obvious answer here. Just replace dodge and parry on gear, gems, and enchants with other stats. So, and then you'll just have to re-gem, re-enchant, stuff like that. So, pretty obvious answer, I think.
Or will you?
Yeah,
Or they might do what they did with the wands and stuff, just give you gold so you can buy your new gems, and if they have
There's
even
a
sockets.
couple of things that they can do, but they've already kind of done it with the armor pen at the end of ICC, where they just said, all right, no more armor pen on anything, and they changed a whole bunch of gear, and then you have the big Cataclysm reboot where they went back and re-itemized literally every item in the game.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's very easy for them to just go, open up Excel, Control H, dodge, tab, whatever, replace all.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about armor pen.
Yeah, and they've tweeted that a lot of these really old gear sets that sometimes it's not going to make sense, but they're not going to go back and change every piece of gear in the game. The later stuff, obviously, but some of that beginner stuff, maybe some real funky things going on.
Yeah, I really wish
Well,
they would get rid
already
of the
said that
agility
it's not going
intellect
to get
gear.
tertiary stats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's mostly for enchanting anyway.
But
To
there's a
level up
lot
enchant.
of new secondary stats, the cleave and multi-strike and stuff like that. So they may just say, dodge. Well, putting dodge and parry to cleave and multi-strike won't make much sense, but could. So
They could, but then you're going to have gear coming out of BC, which is like, hey, this has strength, agility, intellect, cleave, multi-strike, spirit. What? This has everything. I need this for all my classes.
I don't think they'll do that.
And Druid.
Yeah.
God, I remember there was a item out of Stratholme back in the day. It was like a rainbow something that was like plus something to every stat. And as a druid PvPer, I was like, yes, go into bear form, go into healing, go into, I was like, yes, I want that.
That's when your spec was like 10, 10, 10 across the board. Because
Yes,
you could,
you do everything.
Rainbow what?
I think it was the cloak, like rainbow cloak.
Cloak
or
of
something.
Rainbows.
No, I seriously think it was like rainbow cloak or prismatic cloak or something like that.
What color was it? Was it like a rainbow color?
It wasn't rainbow color, but it was kind of like it was kind of like pearl.
They had that
type
rainbow
one.
trinket.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rainbow
it's
generator
not,
out of Felwood.
Yeah, Felwood. I remember that.
Yeah. Anyways,
Weird
speaking of
back in the day.
stats, they were talking about item scaling, the item squish, and someone asked whether or not why not make it linear, because we're just going to have the same problem again in a few expansions, because we're going to squish everything down, but we still have exponential growth on things, so eventually we're going to have to squish again. And they said, why not just make it linear? And the answer was that linear power growth doesn't feel very rewarding to players. You feel 100 to 120. You feel a 20% increase, but you don't feel 500 to 520, because that's like a 5% increase. Even less than that. I can't do math. Math is hard. You do feel 500 to 600, though, right? So that's why we started the expansion at 440s for blue items, and went up to whatever the hell we're at now, like
580 something.
580 with a 608 cloak. We feel that. But if we were just to do a nice and linear and just do a couple item levels here or there, like if I could get 503 items out of Mogashan vaults, but in Siege I was only getting like 510, I don't know if I would want to keep raiding at that point. Just do the old content and feel good.
There's a couple of reasons why they do a exponential scale instead of a linear scale, and yeah, you don't feel power all that much if you're just jumping up 20 points every time, but you feel power if you're jumping up 20%. Yeah. The other reason is bosses. Otherwise, going from one tier to the other, the tiers would actually get easier as you increase. So as more and more expansions come out, if we're talking about a linear scale, then the difference between Shah of Fear and Garrosh is very minimal compared to the difference between Ragnaros and Cthulhu. So that's the other reason why they don't do linear power growth. Otherwise, what the heck are you fighting for? You literally can, if you can kill bosses in blue gear, then you can kill the last boss of the expansion in almost that same blue gear.
Yeah. You have to have some sort of sense of progression as you go along.
Yeah. World of Warcraft is a lot of people may not like it, but World of Warcraft really is an item-driven game. That your chief reward is to gain more power, to kill bigger bosses, to gain more power.
Yeah.
But this is something they're going to have to do again. It may not happen with whatever we get after Warlords. It may not happen even after one after that. But eventually they are going to have to do another linear item squish just to make the numbers relevant. Because I honestly think they were happy with numbers around Wrath to the beginning of Kata. I don't think they were happy with numbers at the end of Kata. And I know for a fact they weren't happy with numbers in MOP.
Right. The numbers were just getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like I remember I had to switch to Skata from Recount because Recount on Lei Shen, the numbers were getting so crazy that it just lagged everyone completely out. So
I'm going to blame Hunters for that still, but okay.
Yeah, said Mr.
we're
2
talking
million
about items.
Rising Sun kick. Shut up.
Yeah. We're talking about items right now that proc 11,000 intellect.
Right.
In vanilla, if you had 100 intellect, you were awesome. So they're going to have to do it again. I remember Wrath when, at the beginning when you were doing Naxxramas, the big thing everyone wanted was 2,000 spell power. Was like a big plateau for caster DPS.
And now we get that
or
on
healers
a
or
single
everyone
staff.
else. And a couple thousand is a decent number to go for. That number makes sense to you.
Yep.
I have like 40,000 spell power right now. That makes no sense.
Yeah, the numbers cease to have an actual meaning at the higher levels, But, they are just numbers. And the thing is it's the percentage difference that matters. Whether we have a 500 item level to a 600 jump, or go from, guess what would you have? Maybe
100 to 120.
Yeah, 100 to 120, or 10 to 12, even go really low, 10 to 12. As long as you feel the same difference in power, that's what matters.
Right.
Numbers are numbers.
If you really want to see the power of the power of that exponential growth, roll a level 1, do the first couple of quests, and then nuke the level 1, start them over again, and mail yourself heirlooms.
Yeah.
The difference is enormous. You're just running around one-shotting wargs in Northridge.
Yep.
So that's what that does for you, and kind of feels nice to one-shot wargs.
All right, well, now it's time to impart some tips and tricks for those raiding monks in
Fist of Fury. It's go time.
As we come to the locked gates of Orgrimmar, we face down a mechanical contraption the likes we've never seen. Let's see how we can avoid getting stung by the Iron Juggernaut. Air, we'll start with you.
Right.
DPS time.
DPS, hey, you guys got a giant scorpion target dummy that occasionally hits back. Really, I mean, it's about single target damage. Take Zune, Xian?
Suyan.
Zhuan?
Kitty.
Zhuan?
Take Kitty.
Zhuan,
Take
Zhuan,
the lightning
Zhuan,
kitty,
Zhuan,
and
Zhuan.
there we go. Take the lightning kitty and work on your rotation. Stay out of the bad, because you do have the bombs dropping the big red circle on the ground. You do have, if you have any kind of range behind you, you will have to look out for the borer drill, things like that. Coming towards the siege phase, that's when it becomes at least a little more interesting. I recommend, if you want to have dampen harm, you can just use dampen harm to help reduce the damage on all 3 pulses. Otherwise, if you want to negate the pulse completely, first one, you'll be next to the boss, use Touch of Karma. Second pulse, use Diffuse Magic or Zen Med. Third pulse, use the other one you didn't use, and you can basically negate all the damage. If you're not positioned right, Flying Serpent Kink, roll, Tiger's Lust, whatever, get back to the boss and start hammering them again. During the siege phase, there is more damage going out, so try to time your Tiger's Eye Brew usage for the siege phase as well. It is a 60% damage increase, but it's easy to forget that there's also a 60% healing increase as well. So pop a 10 stack, stay topped up, don't die, and watch it die. Watch it die. Yeah.
So a couple of extra tips I'll give is the damage that's going out during the pulses, not just the big pulse, but that siege phase, he'll do AoE damage across it. That is magic damage. So I would always go diffuse magic on this fight, at least I do, because if you start getting low and your healers are dropping and they're having a hard time keeping people up, you just pop that and you're basically solid for a little bit. And also Transcendence is great here. You can put that right behind him, move a little bit out of the way when he does the pulse, get knocked in the wall, pop right back and keep DPSing. So those are 2 extra tips I'll give. All right,
on.
From the tank perspective, Captain's not here, but I talked to him a little bit about this fight. He said it is pretty straightforward. Diffuse Magic is a go-to here. As a debuff that you get is magical. So that's magical damage, so you can help out there. Use your mobility to your advantage to grab the mines. We are the most mobile tanking class there is, so use that fully to get out and grab those 2 mines when it's your turn. Otherwise, same type of thing as the Windwalkers. Just try to avoid standing in poop when possible, get the mines, and it's a pretty straightforward fight. All right, healers.
I absolutely love this fight. I mean, it's a typical healer style fight for me here. You can fist weave if you like, but I prefer healing on this one. Just make sure you focus on the tank that's taking the bomb damage. When not, heal the raid as usual. Try helping with the bombs using Dampen Harm, because that gives you the 3 stacks to take, I think, 90% less damage. No. It's the one that you use and it takes less damage, I think 20% 3 times. Sorry. You can use that on the bombs to help out tanks if they can't reach it in time, or if they're too low in health. You could just pop Dampen Harm, grab bomb, heal yourself in the air, you're good to go. I wouldn't recommend taking all 3 because I think I did that mistake once and died.
That's
But
one thing I forgot to mention for Windwalker. Sorry, now Yuki.
No
Touch
problem.
of Karma will sap a mine for you and do a lot of DPS back. So it's a good tip too.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Nice. Again, if you don't want to dampen harm and your tanks are on point, or whoever's taking the bombs are on point, you can go diffuse magic to help out with the magical damage going out. As a healer, this fight you're going to have high numbers because of your healing, so always remember, as usual, to do your Thunder Focus Tea and your Chi Brew. Always, always, always.
Yep.
Duke, you have anything?
This is a guy that I've killed once because while I was away, Rolling Thunder did their progression through. The one time I killed it, we decided to two-heal it, and the other healer was a shaman. So what I remember from that fight was, oh God, he's low. God, there's a bomb. Oh God, fire. What's going on? And did like 143,000 heals per second on that fight, which was, I'm just standing there looking at that number going, that's a big-ass number.
And we have full mana. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a fight where you can really shine. That's it. That's like the Sulong of this tier for Mistweavers, almost.
Yes.
Without all the movement and everything else. Every time I've tried to take a bomb, I turned into Daikatsu bits, so I've stopped trying to take bombs.
Yeah.
Dampen harm.
But yeah, dampen harm works. Zen Med hopefully works.
If you
Yeah,
glyph
that'll
it.
help.
As long as
Glyph it
you,
so you can move around with it.
as long as
Jim
you're
in the
glyphed for it,
chat
yeah.
mentioning
Because
that.
I remember that was one of the things you tried. Is like, oh, I'll hit Zen Med, and then
All right, Zen
oh,
Med.
that's a dead monk.
knock over. It's like, oh, I wasn't glyphed for Zen Med.
Yeah.
Can someone battle res me, please?
Nice.
That's got me on Malkorok too.
All right. Any last tips?
It's a good fight for Mistweavers. Basically, the whole idea is to keep people topped off because when they take a bomb, they're going to take a hell of a lot of damage. And while some classes can soak it, others can't. And during the big burn phases, just burn every single cooldown you have. Abuse the hell out of that Thunder Focus T button. Just abuse it.
Yep.
Yes. More renewing mist.
One thing to keep in mind in general too is the way that for the timers on the fights is, we have our minute and a half cooldowns: Touch of Karma, Fortify and Brew, and Diffuse Magic, Dampen Harm. You use those at the beginning of the fight when you start, because by the time the siege phase comes back up, they'll be ready to go
Yeah,
again.
they're set at 3 minutes, aren't they? I think it's 3.
Or maybe it's 3 minutes in between. So yeah. So anyways,
Yeah.
by the time you use that, by the beginning of the siege phase,
Yeah, you have
you
all
will
your
be able-
cooldowns back.
they'll be up, ready to go again.
Yep.
So that'll help reduce a lot of incoming damage, especially at the beginning of the fight. If you just woke up, don't have your coffee, or you just derp a little bit.
Someone mentioned in the dojo that another tanking strategy you can do for like heroic is using Dampen Harm instead of Diffuse Magic, and then use that to cheese the heck out of Vengeance by taking 6 or 7 stacks and making ticking off the other tank by taunting back when they taunt. So with those big stacks, so you can get a lot of Vengeance and still be okay because Brewmasters are awesome.
Like Waylon says, that seems to be our primary utility in a raid. Cheesing.
Cheesing, yep. All right, now...
I did double check. Touch of Karma is 90 second.
Right, no, I was saying is the phases were 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now, students, it's time to meditate and expand our knowledge in...
Transcendence.
This week we're going to talk about the best in-slot trinkets for Siege of Orgrimmar for both normal and heroic for each spec. We'll start off with the Mistweavers.
I'm going to take the normal healing ones, which are from Shah, Nazgrim, and Thok. The one from Shah is called a Prismatic Prison of Pride. It amplifies your crit damage and healing, haste, mastery, and spirit by 7%. This is a top one for healers. Each time your spells heal, you have a chance to gain 11,761 intellect for 20 seconds. Has a 15% chance to proc, and it has a 115-second internal cooldown. It's only effective for healers, so only healers can roll on it. Another good one is from Nazgrim, which is Nazgrim's Burnished Insignia. Your heals have a 10% chance to trigger a multi-strike, which causes instant additional healing to your targets equal to 33% of your original healing. Your healing spells have a chance to grant 11,761 intellect for 10 seconds. This one procs 0.92 procs per minute. The best one, especially if you're a Fist Weaver, is from Thok. Thok's Acid Grooved Tooth. Your heals have a 100% chance to cleave, dealing the same healing up to 5 other nearby targets. And I believe that's 5 targets from whoever you're healing, not the 5 targets by you. Each time your spells heal, you have a chance to gain the same amount of intellect for 20 seconds, 15% chance to proc, 115-second internal cooldown. So the best out of the 3 is Shah and Thok. You can take Nazgrim if you want. All 3 are fine, but those 2 are the best for normal and I believe heroic as well.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Naz Trinket will just cause your overheals to go through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Duke, you want to take the healing DPS ones?
Let's hear about this.
One of the interesting things about this tier is that there's a bunch of really good trinkets if you're fist weaving mainly that will boost you up. And you have the same kind of split. You have one that amplifies, you have one that does multi-strike, and you have one that does cleave. For the cleave one, the multi-strike one, the amp one, it's pretty much the exact same stats. Frenzied Crystal of Rage drops from Malkorok. You have a chance to cleave, dealing damage to 5 nearby targets. And your attacks have a chance to grant you 11,000 some odd intellect for 15 seconds. I wouldn't touch cleave if you're fist weaving, mainly because if you're doing a boss, that cleave will never really trigger on somebody else. So we can pretty much write that one off completely. The next one drops off of Dark Shaman, and it is Cardress's Toxic Totem, which is the multi-strike. This is the one that I would recommend a fist weaver have just in case they want it. Because multi-strike basically means that when you crit, if you crit, you will crit, and then maybe you'll multi-strike, and that's another little bit. But it pretty much gives you a good chance to do 133% of damage every time you hit. Nice thing about that is that that turns into Eminence. So all that damage you do turns into Eminence healing, which boosts you up some more. So a good way to think about it is with a multi-strike, your Eminence goes up from 50% to about 100, goes up to about 65%, which is not bad. A 15% boost in your healing is something that you really want.
Definitely.
The one that I recommend nobody really get is Black Blood of Yasharg. Yasharg. Get the Black Blood of Sergeant. That drops off of Garage Hellscream, and it gives you an stacking intellect buff up to 10 times. Intellect is nice because you get spell power off of that, and your attack power is always equal to double your spell power. So anything that buffs spell power, anything that buffs intellect is kind of nice because it gives you a good solid hit.
Doesn't it give you a little bit of crit as well? Or no?
It gives you a little bit of crit as well, but not enough to really make a difference. Plus, if you're mist weaving, you should already be above 35% crit. So any additional crit you have might put you up against a crit cap. So that's a decent one to get, but it drops off of Garage. Usually by the time you get that trinket, you're kind of done with the tier and you don't want to see him ever again. The one I really recommend everyone get their hands on, and if you have to mug the Warlock for it, is the Purified Bindings of Immersius from the first boss. It's the same thing. It's an amplify. It amplifies your critical strike damage and healing, haste, mastery, and spirit by 7%, which stacks on top of Prismatic Prison of Pride. So you'll get a 14% amplify to each of those stats if you grab both. And it gives you a chance to have a second 11,000 intellect proc for 20 seconds with the exact same chance, 15%, 115-second cooldown, and they don't. You can have two of the two procs happening at the exact same time. They don't stack on top of each other. So it really is possible with these two trinkets for you to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 23,000 intellect ticking on you for about 20 seconds. It really is good to grab this amp here, to grab the DPS amplify. The main problem is that it is not going to come at you via a bonus roll. Mm-hmm. We're not eligible for it. The only way you're ever going to get it is if it drops and nobody else wants it.
Yeah, your
In
DPS cloth
flex
is
or
going to
normal.
be ticked off at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll never get the LFR version, ever. You might get the flex version, maybe.
You won't get the
You
flex
have a pretty
version,
good
it's all
chance of the
bonus
normal
roll.
version if you're in a 10-man, because odds are you're only going to have 2 or 3 casters, and it's off the first bots. It's off of Mercius. You guys ought to be able to take care of him on the first night. And that's really what a lot of people want to see. A lot of people want to see double amp in their trinket slots. But if you can't get double amp and you're kind of limited to the healer ones, what Nayuki said was correct. Get the Prismatic Prison of Pride from Shaw, get Thox Acid Groove Tooth, call it a day.
All right, Air, let's take a look at the Windwalkers.
You know, you have to approach Windwalker Trinket with a bit of zen, because you have to think about what is good for you. How do you feel? What do you like playing? There's a few options here. The only one you can really not worry about is Sigil of Rampage. That's the one that drops off of spoils. That is the Cleave Trinket, and it's... Maybe you can have a little bit of fun with it on Gallicrest, maybe a little bit of fun with it on Spoils, which is ironic because it drops off Spoils. So, really, that one, if you have it, and it's the only one you have, use it, but otherwise, we're not going to talk about that one anymore because it's pretty useless. For normal rating, typically it's considered Harems, which drops off of the Shamans, is, yes, is one of the better ones to have. That is the Multi-Strike Trinket. That plus a Ticking Ebon Detonator off of Blackfuse, the kind of reverse Rentuckies, where you start out with the highest agility proc, and it ticks down every second.
This one goes the
that
other
combination
way.
is...
Doesn't
that
this one go the
combination
other
is
way?
considered one of the best. Especially if you're really good at snapshotting the beginning of that proc for the Ticking Ebon Detonator. If you have that, you're never going to go wrong. If you are a Fists of Fury user, if you like that style of play, the Assurance of Consequence off of Shaw Pride is a really nice trick, because you do get the reduction in the cooldown for that. So you're able to drop a lot of haste, put that towards other stats, and go that route as well. So right now I have Assurance and Harems, because I cannot get a Ticking Ebon to drop for me anywhere. So one thing is, if you are at the heroic level, and you do hear a lot of talking about this on the MMO Champ forums, on Twitter, this is something that was kind of pioneered by Rotund, Salty Eric. And look at that Strength Thoc Amplified Trinket, Thoc's Tail Tip. It's a Strength proc, which is fine. We still get 1 attack power from each piece of Strength. But because of the crit amplified, it is huge. And actually, if you're at that 570 plus eye level, total eye level, and you're able to justify getting the roll on that, or maybe there's an extra one that drops, the heroic version, the heroic Warforged version, is essentially considered best in slot for Windwalkers. You don't touch it at all, anything below the heroic level, but that's a really interesting idea. I'm hoping to get a chance to play with that eventually. But you never know, you know. But if you're looking for more information, check out the forums, check out Twitter, and yeah. So we have a lot of variety that we're able to use in this. So go with what you have, because trinket drops are very rare. And yeah, if you get Sigil Rampage, cry a little bit, put it in the bank, and maybe you could use it sometime for fun.
Yeah, well, you know what they say about photographers, right? That your best camera is the one that you have with you. It's kind of how I feel about trinkets right now. Because only one trinket has dropped for me this whole tier. So AOC is my best in slot right now. So best trinket is the one that drops for you. But anyways, on the tanking side of things, I talked to Captain as well as I looked at Sunnier's Art of War blog. And she has really good information about that. Breaks down each of the trinkets and what your priority is on those. So Brewmasters have a lot of variety and choice depending on the fight. They get to really switch things out if the trinkets drop for them. So Captain suggests going with the Ticking Ebon Detonator as number one. Just have that with you at all times. The second choice is really fight dependent. So It depends on how you build. For 10 men, you can go after more DPS trinkets like Sigil, Rampage, or Harems. Now, if you need more survivability, you can go with Oxtail Tip. Yeah, I know it's strength, but Air talked about this already. But that boost to mastery is darn nice. For extra survivability, if you want to go even further, you're having problems staying alive, you can go for the Vial of Corruption, which is like the Assurance of Consequence, but for Brewmasters. It's for tank rolls only. This will decrease the cooldown of Guard and Fortifying Brew as your main living cooldowns. And if you find yourself needing even more stamina, so keep going up the chain here, you can grab the trinket off of Garrosh, the Curse of Hubris. It's a valid choice as well. So try to grab as many as you can because they all have their place depending on the fight and whether you're doing 10 or 25 or how much survivability you need. So if you can get lucky and get all of those, then I hate you very much. So
But the moral of the story here is, and this was a Twitter conversation I was having a week ago, there really is no easy choices. Doesn't matter what your spec is for what trinket you're going to have. It's not like there's a trinket that says +2 agility and you're awesome.
right.
Because
With the
they all
nice-
do that.
I
They
like
all
that
buff
route.
agility. They all buff intellect. They all buff whatever.
With the
So-
introduction of all of these different things, cleave, multi-strike, cooldown reduction, things like that, they made it, there
Exactly.
is no best in slot trinket. There is how it's best in slot for how you play
Yeah.
and what you
Exactly.
need for the Brewmasters. So that's I think they did an excellent job.
And this is a hint of what's to come in Warlords of Draenor. I think Warlords is going to kill the idea of best in slot completely. Just kill it dead.
It's going to be the photographer thing again. Your best in slot is
Exactly.
what
It's like,
drops
well,
for you.
this
You have, enjoy it.
This is the gear that dropped for me, and my raid leader was silly enough to give me, so this is what I'm wearing.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts on trinkets before we move on?
Use the bonus rolls. Use
Yes.
them like crazy.
Yes, especially for trinkets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the motes of harmony you get out of there are really nice. So
Get gold.
yeah.
Gold. Gold.
All right. Now it's time to travel to the Peak of Serenity, the home for all monks in.
Zen pilgrimage.
Monks, assemble!
All right, Dojo. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop those on Twitch. We'll be take a look at some other things. So let's talk about Warcraft logs. So if you haven't been hearing this in the news, or on Twitter, or anywhere in game, then we have some awesome news for you. If you haven't jumped on board with Warcraft logs, do yourself a favor and try it. It's a wonderful site to track every single thing you want. It has a feature to check live during a raid. Duke, you want to talk about this one?
Oh God, I love this site. I have completely switched over Rolling Thunder from World of Logs over to Warcraft logs just because of the amount of data that you can get for it. And I don't talk about my real life much, but in the real world, I tend to deal with numbers and data and metrics and all that fun stuff. So for a data geek like me, this is heaven, absolute heaven. And I'm going to drop a link in the dojo right now, and it'll be in our show notes where you could see the one feature of Warcraft logs that I absolutely love. It is the combat replay view. Now you get this by turning on advanced combat logging, and you can find that by going into your system settings under network, and it's the third check mark. Turn that on, hope it doesn't lag you out, and if it doesn't, make sure your combat log's on, upload it to Warcraft logs, and you will see a replay of your fight, of where people were standing, where the bosses were standing, what their damage is, everything else. It is absolutely fantastic. If you want to know where that monk was standing when he stood in the poop and whatever, you were standing there, you were supposed to be here. Look, everyone was stacked 20 yards away from there except for you. You can see it live. It is absolutely amazing. If you want to drill down and see something like, hey, I want to see all of the DPS that's being done during Nazgrim's Shield, so I know which DPS it is that's trying to kill us in LFR, it'll show it to you. Just takes a little bit of configuration, but it's absolutely fantastic.
I'm a big fan of Warcraft logs too. We've been using it a lot, or we started using it a few weeks ago, or I guess last December, and we're still using both just to get an overall comparison because a lot more people still do use world uplogs. But the replay feature is fantastic. Being able to see the way the numbers are presented is really good, especially if you're not that number-minded too. So yeah, I mean, if you're not using it, if you haven't checked it out, you really need to do that, especially if you're into log reading.
Yeah, I suggest new players go in there as well. You could check out rankings. Obviously, there's a gear difference, but you could see what the top-ranked people are doing to get those top heals. They go into numbers. They go into how they're doing or what they're doing at that moment in time through the bar. You could check what spells they're using the most, what trinkets they have, what procs the most, so on and so forth. So you could kind of set your goal for that just by looking at Warcraft logs, which I love. And I was looking at this combat replay right before the show, and literally my jaw dropped. I was like, oh, sexy. I just love the fact that you could see where everybody is, see where the boss is, see who moved, where they were supposed to, or where they weren't supposed to, and so that way you can correct the raid and progress even further.
Wait, is that the log where I died stupidly on Claxy?
I'm sorry?
Was that the log where I died stupidly in Claxy?
No. But that is
Okay.
up there if you guys want to see it.
Damn it.
They're all up there, including, I linked the one fight I did not die on because I think when it comes to like, hey, who had the most number of combat reses for the night? Oh, it's Daikatsu. Stupid son. Yeah, I love Warcraft logs. It's fantastic. And full thanks for this goes out to Kira of Temerity on Twitter. That's Kihra of Temerity, Tamerity. Warcraft logs is theirs. It's fantastic. I absolutely love the work, and full props out to Kira for all of the work.
So Duke, Poison Pop Tart in the dojo asks, with Warcraft logs, can you go through other guilds' log reports and see how people are doing the fights based off the combat replay?
If they have advanced combat logging turned on and their reports are public, you can see anybody's logs. And if you want to see who has logs up, you can just go to the main page and there's a little thing that says, hey, here's the last 10 logs that have been uploaded. If you want to see a kind of mediocre raid, all of Rolling Thunder stuff is up there and made public because why? It's not rocket science.
Yeah, we're not pushing progression where we need to hide our strategies.
We're like really happy because we got to Garage on Friday, guys, and we're talking normal, not heroic. Okay.
Yeah.
All of our stuff is up there because it's not a state secret.
Yep.
I understand if you're pushing heroic and you're in the top 10 world that you don't want your logs to be out there, but at this point, make your logs public. It's not going to hurt anybody. But yeah, and the replay, it just has to be enabled. If the replay's not enabled, you'll still see the option, and then when it loads, it says, hey, they haven't turned on advanced combat logging. You need to go turn it on in your client.
All right, we got 2 questions from the dojo. First one for Air. Valen asks, he says he tends to have better DPS and Heroic Immersius with Zuen over Rushing Jade Wind. Reasons because he can get more uptime on the boss with Karma, diffuse magic more than other DPS, but is Rushing Jade Wind really a better option for the ads?
Yes. One of the things, if you look at the law, like the top Windwalkers playing on 25-man Heroic, all of them are using Rushing Jade Wind. And getting those ads down is a big deal. You don't want them to really, give your tank or anything like that. So, you can get a massive amount of damage out with Rushing Jade Wind. You can still get the uptime on the boss, but send out your clones. Your clones are a big deal here. Get them out, get them into the group, and because they should be up for a little bit longer than the 4 or 5 seconds, unless your DPS is just that high. But even then, make sure that the ads are being tanked close to the boss. Rushing Jade Wind, you can still get your uptime on the boss end too with the AoE damage, and hopefully it'll be helping out your raid overall a little bit more. Because once they're down, you are still hitting the boss, so you still are generating ads, but that'll give a little bit help overall, I think.
Okay. All right, another question from Valen regarding set bonuses. I noticed this was a big topic on the Chi Burst forums. So he says he's got the 2 set right now, and I'm in the same boat as he is, actually. He's able to use the 4 set, which I'm not, because tier doesn't drop for me, apparently. But he prefers his Warforged items. Is the 4 set really worth it in losing the crit from the other gear? I think I know the answer to this, so I will write it down right now. Go ahead, Eric.
In general, heroic Warforged is better than a 4-piece. And as far, I forget if that still translates the same for normals. The thing with that is, you get 2 pieces of gear early on. You get your gloves at Nazgrim, you get your chest at Shaw Pride, all generally considered easier fights for heroic. So get those 2. The rest, hopefully you can get, heroic Warforged, because you can get the heroic Warforged helmet off of Mercius. You can get legs pretty early as well, I think, from shamans. I mean, it's we don't get a head until Thok. We don't get legs until
Claxi.
Paragons.
Yeah.
And we don't get the what's left.
Chests
Completely
from
blamed
Shah?
No, chest is Shah. What does Siegecrafter drop? Shoulders. You get shoulders off
yeah.
Siegecrafter. So I mean, it's those late fights and you get the other ones. So as far as dropping down, if you don't have Warforged, right now I just did it, and I went down to a couple heroic pieces and a couple normal pieces to get rid of one heroic Warforged piece, because overall simming it, and this is where Simcraft is a great tool to use, and I wish Captain was here to talk about it, but try simming it, see what goes, and especially take a look at how much damage you do per hit to see which one works a little bit better for you. But hopefully that's a bit of a nebulous answer, I know. But yeah, sim it, try it out. But in general, unless you have heroic Warforged, the 4-piece is going to be better.
All right. And that's exactly what I wrote down. I wrote the entire thing down.
He writes fast.
Yes, I do. All right. Do we have any shout-outs?
Quick question from Dark Lady.
Yeah.
Yep.
The one question was on Immersius. Where is it? For me and Daikatsu, on Immersius, how do you go about healing the blobs? We answered in chat in the dojo, but for those listening, Daikatsu said healing spheres plus soothing mist and surging mist blow your mana. You can also use revival. I included I like to use revival on the last phase once all the blobs are close to the middle because it pops on all of them. As
But
far
yeah,
as
don't be afraid to blow your mana when it comes to those blobs, because every time you top a blob off, you will gain a ton of mana back
If you're near it.
if
correct.
you're near it. But
I think it's 5 yards or something. You'll see them light up light blue, and then you'll get your mana back. So
exactly.
don't
And
worry
you get
about mana.
all of that back. So
Yes.
it's fantastic.
The other question was, how do you decide which fight to fist weave on, which fights not to? This, me and Duke usually say it's what you prefer, how you're better healing at, how, if you'd like, you could fist weave every single fight if you like. Some fights I prefer to fist weave, some fights I prefer to heal. Like tonight, Iron Juggernauts. I prefer not to fist weave on that. Duke might want to fist weave on that. It's just how you want to heal in that fight, how you want to play, what you're in the mood for that night. Maybe one night I do want to fist weave on Iron Jugs.
Yeah,
Who knows?
Check with your raid leader as well, because depending on where you're at in progression on there, that loss of heals per second can be a detriment. If you're fine on DPS but not HPS. But again, check with the raid leader, but you know your class better than they do, most likely.
Yeah, I'm answering as far as normal version, not really heroic version. I mean, I think in heroic version you might want to fist weave more to help out with DPS. I'm not sure. I'm not in heroic yet. But as far as normal, you can do either or. It doesn't matter, because whether you're in melee or ranged, Mistweavers are still considered melee, regardless.
I know in Rolling Thunder, the answer tends to be, if it's progression, I will lean towards mistweaving, and if it's farm, I will fistweave, because otherwise I'm kind of bored. It all really depends on where you are in the healing in the healer pecking order. If you're kind of in the middle of the pack, then you're not really going to lose too much by switching over to fist weaving. If you're at the top of the meters consistently and you're the number one healer, you want to stay Mistweaver and only fist weave when you can. The other thing that has to do is gear. You will actually gear a lot differently for fist weaving than you will mistweaving, the primary example being your weapon. A mistweaver will want to have as much stats as possible, so they will go for a one-handed weapon and an offhand. Whereas a fist weaver, they need weapon stats, so they will go for a staff or a polearm. If you're rocking a staff or a polearm, you will find in general that your fist weaving output matches your mist weaving output. And that's heals plus DPS equals Mistweaver heals. So there's a bunch of stuff that really depends. If you've got the staff that drops off of Siege Master, Siege Crafter, then you want a fist weave because that's your fist weaver best in slot. Otherwise, you're looking for the sword that drops off of what is it? I believe it drops off of Malkarok. Yeah, Malkarok or Dark Shaman. One of them has a really nice spell power sword.
It's like
your
haste
best in
and
slot
crit
for mist.
something.
Yeah, haste and crit, which it's like more. So yeah, that's kind of the long answer for when do I fist weave, when do I mist weave.
All right, we have a couple of shout outs from the dojo. Izaud. It says shout out to the monk. Izaud. Yeah. Shout out to the monk community in general for working hard to help more people enjoy the class. Dark Lady wants to shout out saying massive shout out to all the monks that have helped me prepare for the healing. Looks like they're going to be shifting over to Mistweaver for a little bit. All right, and do we have any shout outs?
I do. Today my daughter's 10 months.
Woo!
Shout out to my daughter.
Oh, dude, congrats.
Shout out to the new Mistweaver in the community, Bayako-san. I know I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
I'll get that one later.
Shout out to
pronounced
Valen. Joe. Oh, damn. Gotta go back to English.
The Y is silent.
Air, teach me. You teach English, right? That's pronounced.
That's not English.
Huge shout out to Valen. His recent vlogs have made me smile from ear to ear, giving huge shout outs to the monk community and to us on the show. So big shout out for my brosif over there in the dojo. Shout out to Duke. I had an awesome time with him this weekend. He does exist. He's not a robot. We met live. For those of you on Twitter,
I'd say pics or it didn't happen, but there was a pic.
We met live. We had Cuban food. We walked around to Lowe's. It was great.
Yes. Shout out to Gulvin at Monkcraft because if you're not on our podcast, you should listen to their podcast because his podcast is amazing.
Yeah.
His last one,
seriously,
I still have
guys,
to finish.
if you're listening to only one, you need to listen. If you're listening to just us, you need to listen to Monkcraft also.
Yeah, so we go long. He keeps his pretty short, so you can actually listen to both pretty easily.
A bit more heroic focused and a lot more theory crafting too. So if you like that stuff, I recommend it. And they got a new show actually about the differences between two-hand and dual wield that I need to listen to ASAP.
Yeah, that's on my podcast feed right now. So
yes, have we been wrong the whole time about dual wielding versus two-hand?
We'll see.
I was at work trying to
I'll
listen
write down
to it,
my
so
answer
I couldn't
again.
hear it out, but it seems very, very, very interesting, and I'm going to replay it tomorrow at work with headphones, so definitely excited to hear that episode. Also, shout out to J. Dot at Chi-Burst.
Yes.
The Chi-Burst website is rocking. It's full of the monk community, and I suggest everybody go on that website. So many shout outs this week because, as those of you know, I had strep throat last episode, so I couldn't speak very well. So just throw them out. That's my New Year's resolution shout outs.
And speaking of Chi-Burst, there's an interesting thread up there by Valen of a community meetup for monks around BlizzCon. So jump on there, weigh it in. There's a bunch of other cons that are going to happen between then and BlizzCon now, so there's no reason why. I know for a fact I'm going to be out at PAX East in April. Love to see who else is going out from there.
I'll be at the Kansas City Comic-Con in March, so if you're going there, let me know.
I'm going to throw out a couple real quick just because, with shout out for you, shout out for you. So, hey, on my raid team, Iron Deficiency, thank you to my raid team for putting up with my horrible fist breathing. We've decided that I'm no longer going to be doing that. Our three healers, Spence, who plays on his Druid Hudson, Boone, and Sushi, they are rocking it on Thok right now. It is amazing how much they're doing. So we're able to 3-heal Thok. And shout out to our Brewmaster, Karn Punch. When he guards solo talking Thok, he's putting up 2 million guards.
Oh, Jesus.
It is an absolute blast to watch him solo tank this stuff.
Dear God.
Yeah, that's
Why
my
are
shout
they
out
scaling
right now.
us again? Why? I don't remember. 1 million DPS, 2 million guard. I don't know.
We do what we can because we got great tanks and Sedek and really great healers. So shout out to those guys.
Yeah. I do want to give a shout out to my team, Rolling Thunder, because holy crap, we were on fire on Friday. Not just one boss, not just 2 bosses, 3 progression bosses. Near the end of the tier is really awesome. So you guys did great, and look forward to downing Garage quite quickly. All right, guys, I think it's time to get our furry butts out of here.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So, let's take a look at the iTunes reviews, of which there were 0. So, no reviews in iTunes this week, but we did get some Twitter love from @ValenEU, @Byaco-san, that's how you pronounce that, Naoyuki, who said that Duke and Naoyuki were the inspiration behind going Mistweaver, so good job, guys. And Mako Heston on Twitter as well. So please rate us on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, or on twitch.tv. As part of the Monk community, if you have a blog, website, or person you want us to showcase, reach out to us via email at monkmeditation@gmail.com. The Monk community is the best one in the World of Warcraft, and we want to showcase it. Daikatsu, how can the dojo best reach us?
Well, you can find us all on Twitter. You can follow Chai-T @WowMonk. Naoyuki can be found @Naoyuki_CTR. Air can be found @AirMonk. I can be found @DaikatsuCTR, no underscore. And Captain Crunch can be found @KPTNCrunch.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. You can watch us live in 2 weeks on Monday, January 27th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 100 UTC on twitch.tv/wowmonk. You can also catch us after the fact on iTunes, Stitcher, Twitch, or monkmeditation.com, where you can buy the hosts a cup of mana tea for bringing you the best monk discussion on the interwebs, and even with Bitcoin if that's your thing. That wraps up this episode of Monk Meditation.
May your brews be strong and your heart stronger.
Oh, come on now. Fade. Fade. All right, fine.
Here you go.
Have a good night.
Later, guys.